I constantly say to people I'm bored and I don't know why I stay alive, because I seem to be very bored and I have to find things to do to pass the time. And everyone says, how can you do this? I'm so busy, I have no time to do anything. And I say, well, that's how I am. And then I discovered that there was someone quite famous, a philosopher, who also went about saying he was bored all the time. And I thought, oh boy, that's pretty good. Bored is a good thing to be. But then I look back on any day of the week and I think you did this and this and you had all this observation and you had all this fun. Because when I go into shops and places, I have these little sticky labels and I give them to people. Or I say things and I make them sit up a little. And I remember putting on a pig's nose. I went into Sainsbury's, the supermarket, and they all took it the wrong way. They all thought it was disgusting. And I thought, oh well, I was trying to bring a little light into their lives. And they just thought I was a nut. I don't enjoy English poetry very much at all. I have to go to Middle Europa for that, or to the Far East, to get poetry that speaks to me. I don't mean that English poetry is bad poetry, it just doesn't speak to my kind of mind. I like something simple. I don't like it all twisted and so that you have to use your intellect to work at it, because poetry for me should be something simple, but sophisticatedly simple, of course. No, that's just true. I take that back. Simple's good enough, I think. Gosh, what an awful thing to say. And it wasn't until I was 43 years old that I learned that I wasn't a stupid man. And that's made me very angry indeed. So I spent all my time with children, encouraging their intuitive faculties so that they could learn to grow and respect themselves quite young, so that they wouldn't have to go through all that I went through.
Why exactly 43? Was it something that...
I don't know. Maybe perhaps the right kind of respect from, say, the women in my life, something like that. I moved first to Summerhill, away from Scotland, because when I started teaching in Scotland, and of course in Scotland, when children are naughty, you hit them with a leather belt. And I tried not to do that, but the tradition was so strong that I nearly had a nervous breakdown. So I bought a belt as well. And it so sickened me. I thought I have to get away from all this.
Is it a stronger tradition in Scotland than in England?
Oh, yes. In England, their tradition is to use a cane.
What's a cane?
A cane is bamboo.
Oh, yeah, like a stick.
It's a stick that bends, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because you can't go and hit children with a lump of mahogany. Well, you can, but not very often. If it's your own child, perhaps. I've had a season ticket to the zoo for years, and I go there and watch the people mostly. So I don't think biology is the right word, although I suppose I read the more popular kind of books on the sciences and medicine. So I find myself in the non-fiction sections of the bookshops, and looking at geography and astronomy, and I'm very interested. This is a soil map of the southeast of England, and all the colours are able to tell you what kind of crops you should grow in different places.
Uh-huh.
And it's from that kind of thing that I get my inspiration, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Rather than something aesthetic.
Yeah.
Because I think these people, in a way, somehow or other, aesthetics sneak into such a... I mean, the book that accompanies that, which just gives a whole line of all the different places in England and what the soil is good for to grow, I find that very interesting.
Yeah.
And that's, when I say biology, it's really in a very, well, in the broadest sense. But I like things like earth and stone.
I've listened to the Privilege album. I had it on my Walkman while I walked around here in London preparing for this interview.
Yeah.
But there's something there on stones, and they think more and say less. Yeah.
Oh yes, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. Yes, it's just anthropomorphizing stones and giving them human attributes. Yes, I feel very benevolently towards them. I think probably I like them better than animals because they just sit there and you don't have to feed them, and you can go away on holiday and they just sit there, they don't mind at all. You know? I hope they don't mind the idea of having to take your stones on holiday. A bit silly, especially if you go to the seaside and there's plenty of stones there already.